What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your daily creative reading for August 15th. We are going to hop right on in here. So, whoa, a couple are already coming flying out. I'll take that one for today for the start. So the back of it said celebrate life. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, please? Messages for my daily creatives. With love. We'll read that at the end. All right. Dear you, there are times in life when taking a risk is better left for another day. Other times are perfect for taking that leap, no matter how dangerous it might seem. Well, hold on to your parachute strings, for today is leap time. Realize that no matter what, we will not let you fall, drown, get lost, or hurt yourself in any way on this one. Even if it may feel like you are in free fall, we are here for you, and you can stop freaking out about getting hurt and relax into this transition to something new. All the elements are in place, and your soul is ready for a new experience. No matter what you are asking about, it's time to take the risk and do that thing that scares you. No matter what happens, you will land softly, right on target. Don't worry about the outcome. Spirit's got that covered. It's taking the leap itself that's the point. We love your courage. Embrace it. Okay, so let's take a peek here and see where this takes us, shall we, my lovelies? Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, please? Messages for my daily creatives. Two of Pentacles. I'm just fixing the mic here. Kicking off, I guess, the call to adventure. And the Eight of Wands. What else do we have here, Spirit? Five of Wands. Interesting. A couple different things are coming through on this one. There's like holding back, being held back. But I feel like in the end, we can really only hold ourselves back. And that's kind of what I've, been just meditating on. And like at the end of the day, things are going to happen, but we have to take responsibility for our part and either like decide what we're going to do from there in terms of like, is this, and what am I going to make of this? What meaning am I going to make of this? How is this going to shape other things in my life? How am I going to let it? So, yeah, interesting. But it's just the reason why it's almost like there's like I'm seeing like a sort of phantom bag, like it's there but it's not there, and this could be, I don't know why this is coming across as mediumship. That's really interesting because that's not the Two of Pentacles at all. Fascinating. Nonetheless, I'm just seeing, just because of the fact that it's like this thing that you carry but you don't really talk about. This could also reflect trauma. What this also to me represents more broadly is a sense of adaptability. It's a sense of adaptability and, yeah. A feeling of adaptability. Because I feel like the direction that you're headed in, it's like moving quickly. Like things are, super duper on the go, moving fast, very quick movement. This could also represent travel, this Eight of Wands. The Five of Wands here is almost like coming across as a training as opposed to competition. But I feel like it's a bit of... could be competition. Let me see what else comes through here. We got some pages. Page energy. Nine of Swords, Queen of Cups. Hanged Man, Nine of Wands, King of Pentacles, and Two of Swords. The thing that could become a tower if it goes unchecked is this Page of Swords card here, which is I feel that it's sort of looking for more information, but I feel like this is sort of like curiosity is on your side here. So being in this beginner's place is actually really to your benefit. The antagonist position is, I feel like, worrying about something more than just feeling, right? So, Glennon Doyle talks about this in her book, but she says, the point isn't to feel happy all the time. I think it was in her book anyway, but the point isn't to feel happy, it's to feel it all. So I think that's sort of stepping into the feeling, into that feeling space and the heart space, as opposed to just being caught up in your head too much. And I feel as though this like beginner's mind is really going to be to your benefit. The reason why the Page of Swords can become a tower if it goes unchecked, I think this is just like, I'm almost getting a bit, now I see where this can become a bit of the competition. Like the call to adventure is this sort of competing energy, and it could be competing energies within yourself, but I think there's a way that maybe the information you're looking for or things that you're researching, it's like they're splitting your energy a little bit. And I feel like that's where it could become a tower, right? This Five of Wands. I think that's really the spot where it could become one. If and the protagonist position is the Page of Pentacles, so I think just taking things slowly, right? Being in a sort of slow curiosity, and letting that be an energy that speaks for itself and to you through where you are. But I think it's helping you to move away from worries, and I think it's helping you to step more into your emotions, not, because we all have different vocabularies for it, and not everyone shares in the exact same ways. And I think that it's about respecting how we all share our emotions and how they come to us. And I think also there's an aspect of releasing trauma as well. So I think that's really positive here in terms of this antagonist position. I say trauma just because the Nine of Swords and the Queen of Cups, they together can, to me at least, represent that, because it's sort of like being caught up in your head in perpetuity in a way. The Queen of neither of these represent a particular time, but I see the nine as a cycle and cyclical. In terms of endings and things like that. So it's like it's sort of putting an end to that cycle perhaps, and really stepping into this nurturing and self-care and self-love energy. If this is related to a project, I feel like this could be a way of appreciating the work that you do instead of worrying so much about it, right? And it's sometimes we double and triple check our work when all we really need to do is to double check it and release it, right? This is the editing process that we do 17 times for the same paragraph just to eliminate 3 words, right? And doing that. So and some people might say that that's not necessarily symptomatic of OCD. It can be. So, but we can get into a place where, and I say that just so that I'm making sure that folks, that I'm respecting that, the difference between them and not using it as a pejorative or anything along those lines. But I wanted to highlight that because sometimes we can get into that habit at work. We can, double and triple check things because we think that what we're trying to do is soothe anxiety. But what we're doing is doing it through work, doing it through projects, as opposed to soothing the anxiety and then allowing the flow to come to us apart from that, right? So I think that's how this is all shaping up here. The challenge, I think, is getting the bigger picture. The overcoming is sort of adopting the lessons that you have learned along the way. I think of the Nine of Wands as like the pre-emperor energy, where you're kind of integrating the fire of what didn't work. And you're also, it's the fiery passion of what passion you still have with the lessons of what didn't work. Like this is the tweaking, the fine tuning, also an ending, right? Also an ending. So I think this is about, I think it's a bit about releasing your perspective and pulling back. So not focusing so much on the micro and looking at the big picture of things. Cause I feel like I'm hearing soothing. I feel like the King of Pentacles is here, right? So what are we learning from the challenge? I think it's about self-soothing. I think it's also a little bit about soothing your worries. It's about soothing and understanding how that plays into self-care. How that plays into self-care. I don't think that you'll have the whole picture. Like you won't have the big picture, today. I think this is more of a day to integrate, to give your mind a break a little bit. Certainly taking action where necessary or needed. But I feel like this is a message to take the wisdom that you can't see, right? The wisdom that you can't see. the heart space. So how do you feel about a situation? What is it? What's your gut check on it, right? And if, honestly, I'm learning more and more that if it feels like BS, it usually is. Like if it feels like that, let it go, right? And understanding that in the same way that you're not for everyone, not everyone's going to be for you. So it's understanding and just flow, let it flow, and doing it without charging it with emotion. Because if you charge it with emotion, it's coming from a place of pain within. It's, yes, we can feel hurt by, the way circumstances or things play out. And we should, to process it, right? Don't hang on to it and be like, I shouldn't feel this. I shouldn't feel this. No, because you do. So allow yourself that. But I think this is a message that you're going to need to kind of go within. And it sounds so general, right? Like, how does that even help? I feel a bit like this is a message to go within, because there are things you can't see, and it's important that you don't see them. It's important that you can't see them. And I feel this sort of like impatience from the outside. Like there's like people are getting impatient, and like there's this like crushing pressure, but that's how diamonds are made. And I think that it's not saying that to justify the feeling of pressure, but I think that what that is a bit of a feeling of releasing the expectation that it needs to be any other way. Because if that's how it is right now, pushing against it is just going to hurt you in the long run. Pushing against it is not going to help, right? We are throwing ourselves in. It's just, it doesn't, it doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve us. And I think that this is about serving yourself. The King of Pentacles, right? Self-care, self-soothing. This is about finding ways to soothe yourself and to help yourself. Not the kind of help that's like, oh, I'll buy you a coffee. It's the kind of help that's foundational. This is the foundational kind of thing. And I think that this is also about building a bit of a legacy for yourself, but establishing yourself in a new way. The reason why I say new is because there's a lot of struggle cards here, and that those are showing up in ending positions, or sort of, capturing an antagonistic energy that we're moving through or away from. So I feel a bit like this is the big thing for today is self-care, 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 and more self-care. And understanding that self-care doesn't just mean surface stuff either, right? And surface stuff works sometimes you just need a nap, right? That's very surface, but it's also like if you're low on energy, then is it, right? Is it? So it's respecting yourself. Like, for example, recently I stopped using melatonin. It has been rough some nights, but I'm finding that my energy is way more accessible during the day. Like I have it, and there's a peace there. So it's almost like, and I read up on it, and melatonin, if you have it for too long, it can apparently kind of mess with blood pressure, which is where my blood pressure numbers are not great. So, and I mean, they're getting better. I shouldn't say not great. They're getting better, right? They're not ideal, but I laugh because it's just, they go up and down. But they are getting better. So it's one of those things where just something as simple as like melatonin seems like it might be self-care if you're having trouble sleeping, but then taking it away gives you access to your energy. Even on the days where I don't sleep more than 6.5 hours, which is about my average, even on those nights, it's still not been like I'm clocking 7 hours again, 7.5 hours again. So these little tweaks. And I think that's sort of one of the lessons here is this sort of curiosity. Like I almost see this as like the page energy of being a student, but I also see the page energy in the sense of being curious and just making these little tweaks and shifts and changes, right? Like I'm a big smell person. I'm really like, it just, I don't know. That's like a sensual or a sensuous thing. And, I know that if I have a rough day or whatever, I try to, or I know that it might be a tough day because of different things in the schedule and whatnot. I try to do something for self-care that will speak to that, like, using a diffuser, or sometimes I'll wash my sheets. I'll save it to the night before so that it smells like fresh laundry when I go to sleep that night, so that it's just a comfort thing, right? So that's sort of like, I want to say creature comforts without going overboard. It's creature comforts without going overboard. But I feel like it's really important to begin to process, and processing doesn't just involve looking at it. Like you're not just like reading a book on something. Processing can involve going to pretty dark places inside, and do that with help if you need to. Don't be like, I can do it on my own, if you know that you need the help to dive into that, right? yeah. So I would say stick to that. That is a form of self-care too. You know, I'd been going to counseling for years, and I had just, you know, we just finished sessions. I want to say 2.5 months ago, after about 4 or 5 years of it. So it was like, it was long, and it wasn't like glamorous. It wasn't like the time of my life, but it did give me greater access to things that are starting to unlock now, right? And understanding the balance between seeing and getting help, and also being unafraid of talking to your doctor. So I'm talking to Ontarians now. So folks in Ontario, or for those who have access to coverage for healthcare, because we have OHIP, which covers it. You can talk to your doctor and ask them, you know, I would like to find flexible counseling that doesn't come at any cost and that you can bill to OHIP. And that is actually a way that they can connect you. That's how I ended up getting connected. So it's possible. It's really tough, and like wait times are, you know, they can be what they are. They can be quite long, but don't give up on that. Yeah, because the dark can feel really scary, right? It can feel really scary. You can be standing on a sunny day and you have no idea. And I feel like that's sort of, this is a kind of going within, but this is also telling me that there might be some, it's like balancing things that make it hard to see, right? Like looking down, you know, like even new opportunities, looking down, can't see things. Too busy to see things, right? So it's that kind of energy. And that's where I think that things are coming back into balance and perspective, because the Hanged Man is here. So I feel like this is pulling, the challenge is pulling out of this illusion energy. And illusion energy just in the sense of, like how possible is it to look what you need to look at directly in the eye, right? And doing it. And doing it. And you know, sometimes it's just like I was, you know, sending a friend a resume and just saying, you know, one of the things I said to her, and it's, as is true of our friendship, like I enjoy that when you edit things, or when you know, talk about things, you do it in a way that is fearless of calling me out on my bullshit. And that's like a luxury. She's an Aries, so she's like loving it. She's like, I love to boss you around. Like, it's just that energy, right? But it is also one of those things where I think you need to understand yourself. And I think this is, and you know, I say understand your own BS, not in order to say focus on that exclusively, because if you can't see your beauty, you shouldn't be going directly to the BS, because that's self-harm, right? So if you can't see both, if you can't hold space for both, don't go right to one, because that's harmful. That is, you know, the same friend, she says often, she's like, don't be mean to my friend. I'll be on the phone and we'll be talking and I'll just say stuff, you know, and it's like this inner critic that just like pops out sometimes. We all have it. And it'll pop out, and she'll, you know, at one point she said, you need to stop being fucking mean to my friend. and it's that energy where we need to stop being mean to ourselves and going to like your own BS, as opposed to being very kind and gentle with yourself and holding space for yourself and saying, in essence, what is it that my soul needs right now? What is it that my soul needs? And if I'm feeling anxious, if I'm feeling in this Two of Swords, if I'm feeling in this Two of Pentacles, is it because something is out of balance, or is it because of something that's a bit below the surface that needs more attention and love and care, right? So it's about really being gentle with yourself, and your process, right? And understanding that not everyone's gonna get it, and that's okay. That's okay. But it's really about just being easy on yourself, because if you can't do it, no one will, and no one's here to do it for you either, right? And that's one of the harder parts about growing up. If you know, like me, grew up in a bit of a tumultuous home, right? It's tough because you don't ever really have that co-regulation set. And you have to develop a set of skills over time. And sometimes you miss the mark with them, right? Sometimes you miss the mark with it, but the point isn't to aim for perfection. The point is to aim for, you know, connection. The point is to aim for empathy for yourself as well, not just other people, right? I think I read it somewhere that if you're, you know, if in the equation of compassion and empathy, you are not included therein, it is incomplete. It is incomplete if it does not include you. So, Okay, so we have the Star coming out on the Two of Swords and the King of Pentacles. I think this is also a bit about not being able to see your worth. Not being able to see your worth. And I feel like this is healing. This is fortuitous of healing. That could be representative of the full moon in Aquarius. It wasn't as intense as some of the other full moons are, but I think it was definitely a reflective period. But I feel like this could have been something to do with that time, but I also feel a bit like this is just hope and healing. This is like hope and healing. And I think it's also like you have this pentacle the whole time. The way I'm seeing this come across is like you have the pentacle the whole time, but you're searching for something else. And in doing so, you forget that you're the King of Pentacles. It's like you forget that you actually do have more not to offer, like you have more to offer in general. And I think it's just understanding that. It's understanding that. And, you know, that's probably a really great way of being kind to yourself too. Is generally assuming that if you are like, well, I'm only bringing this to the table. No, there's probably like 3 to 5 more things that you're bringing. But if you have been trained in, you know, the ways of people pleasing, or if you've been trained in the ways of, you know, trying to be so many different things to so many different people, you won't be able to really see that. So it's almost like, it's like rounding up, right? It's like rounding up and then reaching for that and saying, what are the other 2 to 4 ways that I'm valuable here? So as opposed to saying, well, I bring this to the table, right? What are the other things? What are the other things too? So, okay, so we have the 2 of Pentacles, the Hanged Man, the 9 of Wands, and the 3 of Pentacles. I feel like this is kind of taking the big picture, allows you to see how you've had to carry the light for yourself. And this is really crucial for building in future. This is also really crucial for, I want to say like creative endeavors, but not just work or projects or jobs, even relationships. I feel like this is like foundation building in general. This is like a way that you're structuring, building from the ground up with people in future, present, or, you know, at another point in time. But it's bottom line is that it's affecting how you carry that energy. Okay, so we have the 8 of Wands and the Page of Swords. Spirit, what else do you got for my daily creatives, please? What else do you have for my daily creatives? The World. Wow. What I'm getting from this is like, it's like putting a bit of an end to the search for information or expecting information to come to you from outside of you, right? This page is looking outside of themselves. And it's like, this is, you know, messages, like communication. And I feel like it's like ceasing to look for communication outside of you and kind of turning within a little bit more. Turning within a little more. These are also the fixed signs: Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus. So this may have been a very fixed way of perceiving the world. May have been a very fixed way of perceiving it and seeing it, right? The swords tend to do with our thoughts and our patterns. So it's kind of like, it's almost like pulling back. Like this is like right into the details here. We talked about this, but the Page of Swords reminds me of being right, so like, you know, dialed right into the details. And the World is another form of a pullback, but it's almost like the new beginning side of the 9s, right? The new beginning side of the 9s. And that's where I'm very curious to see this Page of Pentacles and the 5 of Wands clarified here. Both of them. Wow, the Emperor and the High Priestess. You can do anything if you put your mind to it, but you have to trust your intuition in the process as well. There's something about being able to trust the messages that are coming from within you. Yeah. And it's like there's a lot of noise outside, but there's something that it's like Spirit is offering you internally. This doesn't strike me as something that is like someone coming towards you necessarily. I feel like this is certainly maybe realizing what you have to offer, realizing what others have to offer. And it's almost like, I think that this process is, the High Priestess is here in the Emperor. It's like helping you to see through, it's not illusion, but like noise. I find that, you know, being on the autism spectrum, what sometimes happens is communication can start to feel like noise. And, you know, it can feel like noise where it gets overwhelming, not because there's a need to perfect it or do it perfectly or anything like that. It can just feel like noise where it feels constricting because I freeze when I'm trying to interpret what people mean by what they say and trying to figure out the best way to go about doing something, but then trying to also anticipate, and this is more related to trauma, but trying to anticipate 6, 7, 12 steps in advance so that I can protect myself, which isn't necessary, but it's a response when feeling a bit dysregulated, right? So, but the sensory side of it is that it can also, and this is also just intuition. This is, spiritual stuff for me, but being able to feel what's going on with people. And more so lately, there's been an aspect of telepathy where it's just been, there's just an aspect of telepathy with it too, where it's like there's more than just the sensory noise. It's just more than the sensory noise. But I feel like bottom line, it's like, it's not, I don't want to say it's about being in better control of your intuition, but it's about understanding that it's not even about controlling your environment. But in a way, it's about cultivating your environment so that it allows your intuition to grow, right? It's about showing up and understanding that your intuition makes it so that you don't have to show up with a shit ton of armor, right? Your intuition it's like finding your inner marshmallow and leading with that, right? Leading with that as opposed to feeling like you've got to wear all this heavy stuff just to be in a position of leadership, just to be seen, right? Because the Emperor, it's not so much Leo energy, but I feel like the Emperor is pretty hard to miss, right? Like you go to the Emperor, the Emperor comes to you, but usually it's in conflict, right? Or some kind of stately visit, like it's all like, pomp and grandeur, that kind of thing but it's like, there's something to that, right? There's something to that, but it's like letting your intuition lead. Letting your intuition lead. Whoa. 7 of Pentacles on the Queen of Cups and the 9 of Swords. And we'll do that. 6 of Pentacles. Oh, wow. 6 of Pentacles, Ace of Cups. Holy shit. Okay. I know it's early and I'm already cussing away. It's fine. 7 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles. So what I'm getting here is this sort of like impatience with the process. A bit of impatience with the process, maybe with your process. But understanding that this is really how it's got to go if there is to be an even give and take. And I think it's also about knowing what to do while things grow, knowing what to do with your energy. I'm almost looking at this as like impatience, yes, but like there are so many other things that this person can be doing than standing watching the pentacles grow. It's like watching paint dry, right? Like what else needs to be done? And I think it's about organizing your time so that you can give of yourself and receive as well. And then, so the reason why I was exclaiming is that on the bottom, we have the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Pentacles, the World, and the Sun. So, I mean, if you were looking for a sign, this is it. But I feel like this is not just closing out a cycle. This is also allowing a bit of fate to intervene. And I feel like there are opportunities that are crossing your path. And it's important to stay open to the multiplicities of them, is what I'm seeing here, right? I'm seeing this energy of, possibly new opportunities in love, possibly creative projects, but also work. But I feel like this may be just, spirit intervening to show you the value of your heart, to show you the value of your heart. Because when's the last time that you believed that? And it sounds so obvious, right? But what I'm talking about here is, the value of your heart in terms of the times when it's most inconvenient, the times when it's least convenient for you. When's the last time that you considered that the things that make you feel the most out of control are actually maybe what give you access to your happiness, to a greater sense of happiness? This, in other terms, could be, opportunities coming that make your heart absolutely sing in terms of work, in terms of planting seeds too, because I'm getting this, like with the 7 of Pentacles being reflecting a bit of impatience. It's almost like what comes to mind is that, when I during the pandemic, I worked on a farm for a little bit, and it was like it was interesting because all of the things that the farmer could do, because he wasn't tending to like some of the strawberry picking and things like that that people were doing, there were so many more seeds that he could plant, he could tend to them, right? So it's almost like I'm almost getting that there are these like angelic helpers around you right now, or guides that are helping to organize your energy. And so this is also where if you wake up and you feel particularly exhausted, or if you wake up and you feel like you had some kind of like energetic procedure done, lean into that. Don't question it. Just be like, you know what? If you have the ability to, just get the extra hour of sleep. Allow yourself to just lay there, right? This morning I woke up and I was like, typically I'm the person that wakes up and gets up right away. Like just, I don't like laying in bed typically by myself. Like it just, so I'll get up and, you know, but this morning I just laid there for like 2 hours, just feeling the bed beneath me, feeling the covers, and just really sitting with where I was. And it was actually really lovely. But it was, again, you know, cutting out melatonin's been interesting. Like it's just, but I will tell you that in the morning there's more energy. I'm just putting it out there. But yeah, I think it's about, and also maybe this is about cleaning up your perception a little bit. If it means that like you don't do, or you're not this kind of person, or you're that kind of person, and that prevents you from just doing something new, right? Just trying something else. You know, so that's a possibility as well. Interesting. That was definitely some channeling, but that's, yeah. So I'm feeling a little bit like there's a need to sort of lean into new more. And, you know, for example, today while I was doing some, you know, different job stuff, I was, I was like, well, I'm going to take a break and I want to go for a walk. So I'll go and get an iced coffee. And I hadn't had much coffee this morning. And so I was like, okay, perfect. I'll do that. And then, you know, just going for a walk around the block. And visualizing, doing all of this creative visualization. It was just so beautiful. And it was the perfect summer day. It wasn't too hot or humid. It was just amazing. It was lovely. So what I'm seeing here is doing something like that, right? Doing something like that and truly imagining that you're, you know, walking back from the coffee shop and you're so excited. You're just taking it in because you just got this email about this amazing project or offer, and you're, you know, looking through all these things. Your head is buzzing and you're just so thrilled, right? Being in that space and just allowing yourself to feel it for a minute or two or 12 or 20, however long you want the affirmation or the visualization to last for, right? So I think it's about leaning into doing things like that, and maybe doing things that make you feel a little bit like that feel like a waste of time. With the Seven of Pentacles, it's almost like this, in the one hand, it's impatience, or on the one hand, it's impatience. But I also feel like this is a sense of needing to lean into the things that might feel like they are a waste of time, because that's where the new is, right? That's sort of where the new is. And that's possibly also where you're getting information. That's how, maybe where you're grounding yourself, right? You're getting grounded. That's how spirit is giving you this pentacle, this pentacularity, to help you ground. And I feel like that's kind of where the new comes in, where the light comes in a little bit. And the sun and the wheel here, it's kind of like, I don't want to say fate's wheel is turning, because I feel like it's almost like you're steering the ship and you forgot that the wheel was in your hand. And maybe that's where the sun comes from. Maybe that's where it's like you realize something about, you know, something to do with the bigger picture and your role in shaping it. So that's what we've got today. I'm going to pull from the Notes from the Universe on Love and Connection deck by Mike Dooley. Spirit, can you please give me some closing guidance for my daily creatives for August 15th, please? You needn't worry. Whoa. There's no one in your life who hasn't always loved you. They're all just learning how to show it. Big Silly's The Universe. Love that. And really, we all are just learning how to show it, right? And I think that's the beauty. Like, grace has been on my mind a lot lately. Just this notion of grace, right? And it's just like we give it when we feel people, like, I don't know, we receive it when we need it the most, right? And you know, when we feel like we deserve it the least. But there's just something beautiful about this. It's almost like giving yourself grace. Give yourself the grace. I can find peace in every breath. And that kind of is a bit like grace. I'm seeing feathers falling. Well, they're wishes, really. This happened when I can't remember where I was, but I had the back windows down in my car and the front windows down. It must have been on lunch at work this week, but I had all the windows down. The breeze was just beautiful, and this wish came in through the car in the back window and through the front, but just stopped right in front of my face for a minute and then just kept going. And I was like, did that wish just greet me? Right? So that's where I feel like it's just moments like that are both synchronistic, but also perhaps a reminder that you're surrounded by love, and you're surrounded by a more gracious architecture of the universe than what you may have been giving it credit for. Yeah, than what you may have been giving it credit for. I dish out compliments sincerely and liberally. Sincerely is the key, though. Sincerely is the key. Okay, so let's close this out here with love. Okay. Dearest you, did you know that when you stop fighting and accept everything exactly as it is right now, miracles start to happen? There is a freedom in this kind of radical acceptance. Let go of unrealistic expectations and see things as they really are, not how you'd like them to be. You'll be surprised at how everything seems to fall into place. When you refuse to accept things, life gets messy, you act messy, and your world stays in chaos, tension, and disarray. But don't try to force a change or manipulate circumstances. Instead, learn about what is in front of you and face it with your eyes fully open. Then you can decide, stay or go, sink or swim, move or stay still. Acceptance is a key to freedom and opens the door to real opportunities waiting to be discovered. Set yourself and others free. Loving you so much, always and forever. That's beautiful. Yeah. It's like setting yourself free. Grace and setting yourself free. Make a wish, my friends. Make a wish. That's your daily creative reading. If this resonated, please give it a like and subscribe. I'd love to have you here on the channel. But if there are other ways you can connect if you want to. But as far as we are concerned here, if this is where we part, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, that it finds you very, very well, my friends. Take care.